So we are moving forward to our next speaker. Let me introduce Lucian Gruia, Principal Java Developer and Software Architect at Cyclum. Hi, Lucian. Hope you're doing great.
Everyone,
Is-
yes, glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're glad you are with us as well. Thank you for joining. So, short introduction about Lucian with the main expertise in electronics, telecommunications, and information technology, and main domains of programming, AI, aerospace, blockchain, telco, and fintech, with more than 11 years of hands-on experience in these in designing frameworks and complex solutions for real-time systems, highly experienced in system performance, database fine-tuning, data integrity, and fraud detection. And experience in leading teams in both enterprise and startups ecosystems, also being an active person eager to meet new people, develop new skills, learn and teach cutting edge technologies, and travel all around the world. So everything sounds pretty relevant to Devoxx Ukraine, actually. Even traveling, once it's possible, we'll be glad to meet you in Ukraine at
Unfortunately, I
Devoxx.
never visited it. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry? Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did not visit yet Ukraine, but it's on my plan.
Yeah, so once it's possible to hold offline conferences, we'll be glad to meet you here in person. So we have them really great, especially after parties. So well,
Great.
let's proceed with live coding session on building full stack AI chatbots with the Java. The mic is yours.
Yes, thank you very much for the introduction, and thanks everyone for participating to this nice event and supporting Ukraine. So my name is Lucian Gruia. I'm based in Romania, in Bucharest, working in Cyclum for about 4 years, and a software engineer for um, uh, almost 11 years. Now, Cyclum is probably it's one of the biggest software company in Ukraine as well. We have more than 4,000 active professionals, and yeah. For more details, of course, you can visit our website cyclum.com and see our activities and our projects there. Uh, Okay, as I mentioned, my main expertise is based in telecom, fintech, and aerospace industry. If you want to, if you are curious to find more about my experiences and my journey, you can check out my website luciangruia.ro. There you'll find my portfolio, and you can also find my contact details. We can discuss further. The goal of this session is to give you an introduction on. Intelligent on AI chatbots. But of course, this discussion can be can like take few hours if you wish. So we can have later separate interactions and conversations on this. I'm really interested in this topic. So for today, we'll have a short, brief introduction about AI and the future of web and the chatbots, what chatbots are about, and then we will skip the theory. We'll skip directly to the coding part. Most of today's session will be coding. So as you probably saw in the presentation, we have a quite interactive um, demo today. It's a live coding session. So, what is a chatbot? I just want to set some expectations and do some clarifications in this regard. I probably you know that everyone nowadays uses ChatGPT or other competitors like such as Bard or Cloud. So chatbots are not only about generative AI. The models such as ChatGPT or Bard, they are generative. They are trained against a large corpus text, and then they understand the language and do some prediction. They do not necessarily acquire knowledge. Of course, they can also be fine-tuned, and you can use your own data to integrate in that model, and that will give you a bit more particular context You do not need necessarily to use the chatbot for use cases such as general knowledge. Usually we ask ChatGPT for I don't know, general knowledge, but if you want to integrate it within your business, you need to do some more steps. So this is what we are going to discuss uh, uh, about today. We are going to create a POC that will allow you to both use generative AI, but also to use your own knowledge, your own data, and to have your own metadata and statistics about the usage of the chatbot, right? So this is no more than a POC. Of course, it can be extended starting with this project. At the end of the session, you will also get the GitHub repository, and you can fork from there. You can clone it, and um, you can work forward. But what we want to create for today, it's a knowledgeable chatbot that can also learn some new things, and that can be also trained with structured data. This is what probably most of businesses need actually nowadays. They want um, chatbots that can communicate about their business cases with their customers, right? So we want to create somehow a bridge between generative AI and the regular use cases, the classical use cases of a chatbot. Okay, so uh, I think that's it with the theory. I don't keep you more with this part. Let's switch to the practical side, and later we will come back to review some results and discuss a bit about architecture. So for the beginning, we are going to start. Okay, this is the Git repo. You can already search on Git and clone your code if you want to also watch the evolution uh, of the development of the coding of this chatbot during our discussion. You can go to demo or to dev branches because on master currently we don't have anything. So, in order to create this chatbot today, we will use a set of libraries. So, I will show you first how to set up the environment, and then we'll go to the to write the code itself, right? So, first of all, we create a Spring application. Probably most of you are familiar with Spring. Here you can set your group, artifact, name of the application, description. Then you can choose some packages such as Lombok, Spring Data, right? Spring Boot or DevTools, Spring Web, uh, and so on. And then you can just regenerate, and you have your project ready, right? Okay. Close this tab. Next one is stand for NLP. It's a library that helps us analyze our text, because sometimes we do not want to rely on an existing model. We do not want to go on any server. We don't have maybe the bandwidth, or we don't have connection, or we don't have credentials anymore, right? You need to pay for OpenAI license in order to use the ChatGPT API. So in such cases, if you do not want to have downtime, you can probably use something else. And for today's scope, I choose Stanford NLP. It's quite complex, and probably uh, it's based on the most popular NLP architecture before transformers came into the scene, right? So you can find more details about Stanford NLP on their websites. But we are basically using to understand our text and to do some small NLP within our application. Then we have Lingua. We want maybe to detect the language we want to use, and this is similar with like Apache Tika, Open NLP. The promises on the GitHub is that this outperforms those. So that's why I tried. It is able to recognize about 70 languages. So if you want to build a multilingual uh, chatbot, you can use this one and try to detect the language, and then take further decision based on the language you have, and go to the specific knowledge based on the language, right? And very important is the Telegram bot API. So we are not reinventing the wheel. We'll use an existing client, and that is the Telegram interface. But in order to talk to the Telegram interface, we will create a Telegram bot. So it's really easy to create a Telegram bot. You can just probably go to Google and search create new Telegram bot. It will ask you to talk to another bot. Let me do it now. Create Telegram bot. Okay, without Python actually. So you will find there on a Telegram website. Where is that? Okay, another bot, and that's called botfather, right? So you go and talk with botfather, and botfather will okay, I'll show you later on directly on Telegram, right? I'll come back to this. Okay, we have a HTML Java parser. It's JSoup. So this library, we use it to take some knowledge from the internet in case if we miss something, right? We need to sometimes parse some HTML and extract the text from the HTML. So we are using this one. Then we have a repo on GitHub that helps us create the interface between our backend and Telegram API. So it's just, I mean, you can use the Telegram implementation, of course, but this one provides you some simple methods to go and automate some things. Instead of creating some loops, for example, you have the listeners directly implemented within this library, right? So it's just giving us some shortcuts, and it's really straightforward. We'll use Docker to set up some helpers, some helpers for our chatbots, such as uh, Solar instance and a search engine, or Metabase to visualize some data, or we'll install MySQL or MariaDB in order to store some details about our chatbot activity. Further, we have some setup commands. You can find them on my GitHub. And these are the last two tools that we are going to use. So Solar is a really popular tool used for searching through text. It's a powerful engine built on top of Apache Lucene, which you probably know um, sits at Solar's core, right? And Metabase is a really nice tool that help us go to a structured database such as MariaDB and create some nice visuals, which what you can probably see directly on the homepage of Metabase. But instead of creating a lot of visuals, a lot of graphics with um, different JavaScript frameworks, you can directly use Metabase and create statistics really nicely. Okay, that's it about the introduction. Let's go now to the IDE and write some code. So we'll start with the POM XML file, right? So here are the dependencies. Let me probably increase a bit the font. So we have Spring Boot Starter, we have DevTools. Okay, we have Spring Boot Web, MVC, JSON library, Telegram bot API. So I integrated this one from GitHub. Right. We have Jersey, Stanford NLP, and yeah, I think I used these two times models. Okay. We have Lingua and Solar. Solar J is the library for Java, and Hibernate. We want to at some point we want to create some sessions in our database and to automate some queries there. And MariaDB driver. Yeah, so that's pretty much all. Also, by the end of the presentation, I'll try to show you how to integrate with the new Spring AI. I think it was released about 2 weeks ago. Spring AI enables us to go to OpenAI and integrate with OpenAI, communicate with ChatGPT. In order to do that, you need to go and set up this Spring AI library. It's currently in experiment. but it's really useful. It provides you a quite a straightforward interface between Java backend and OpenAI. For OpenAI, it's quite easy. You can just go log in. It takes few moments to go to API here, go to your account, manage account, and then you have the settings, and here you can create API keys, right? I already created some an API keys for today. Is this one? So I'm going to use it directly. You can very easy create an API key and integrate in your application properties file, and further you can just talk to ChatGPT. It's really straightforward. But we are not going to rely on this. We want to build our own chatbot, right? So, okay, in order to do that, let's discuss briefly about the architecture of the chatbot. So here we have in the right side we have the client. Maybe I can expand this by a little, 150. So here in the left side we'll have the client side. We can build a web GUI, but we can also use the Telegram or WhatsApp or another gateway. I prefer for today use case Telegram because it has a quite easy to integrate API, or you can use any other third party, right? What we are going to build is our client. So our client is the direct gateway from our core chatbot to the world, right? Then we can connect our client uh, with any front end platform we want. So that's why it's important when we build a chatbot as a good practice of architectural practice. It's good to create a client side, right? Then we have the core, and here in core you can do that in tons of way. I prefer to create some helper classes for config, for storing contacts, for other like language helpers, and some other APIs. And then within the core of the chatbot, we have our agent. So the agent is basically the chatbot itself. Based on the agent, we will create different modules, right? We'll have the knowledge module, the one we are going to go and check if we know about the subject or not. If we do not know, also using the knowledge module, we will go and acquire some knowledge using different methods, and then store the knowledge and retrieve the results, right, to the client. We'll have the machine learning part where we either detect some sentiments, or we um, try to understand the context better using our own algorithms, right? We also have like the conversation cycle. The conversation cycle is the one that gives us the decisions about the conversation, right? So we will have in any moment of the discussion we'll have to know where we are. It's like the beginning of the conversation, it's in the middle, is there any context, is there any switch in the logic we want to have, we want to go to ask ChatGPT, or we want to answer by our own, right? And we also have the NLP, which is the natural language processing module, sorry, that helps us understand basically the text, right? And in the left side, it's mostly the persistent component of our chatbot. It's like I will have for today use case the a solar instance and an RDS with MariaDB, but you can do it with MongoDB. You can do it with anything you want. You can even integrate if you want to create more relations, more to understand more dependencies between conversations and the participants of the conversation. You can even use some GraphDB such as Neo4j, and I'll give you some setup commands to do this, but it's not in the scope of today's presentation. This part, the white part, right? Okay, going back to the code. So we review the POM file. Now let's try to do the setup of our chatbot. First of all, okay, give me a moment. Here, Telegram. So here is the interface where we are going to discuss, right? Mm, there a problem with the connection, or that's interesting. Okay, I can try closing some tabs here. Okay, it doesn't load, but I have already a window, another window loaded with Telegram. So here I have my chatbot. It is called Octospoon. This is how I created the name I gave it, but it's not relevant. You can go to bot further and you can create your own, right? And it's quite easy. You just click new bot here, then choose a name. Let's say Devoxx 2023 and another username bot. So now we have all we need. We have the API key, right? The token that helps us interact with our Telegram application. So please be cautious with this. You don't have to share because anyone that has your token can interact with your chatbot. In my case, I have a different token. It is for my bot Octospoon here, and I'm starting the conversation with my own bot now. Let's see how we can do the setup in Telegram. So first of all, we have client side, as I mentioned earlier in the architecture part. In the client side, we have two Telegram classes. One is handling the delivery, the other is handling our inbox, basically. So in Telegram delivery, here we have two other helper classes, but I'll come back to them later, the message parsers and RDS. Here we create the bot, we instantiate the bot using Telegram bot class, right? And then we create the method in the delivery. We create the method send message. In this method send message, we have to pass two objects. One is the raw message, the one we want to send, and the other one is the conversation. We want to point to a specific conversation because your chatbot is going to handle conversations with multiple persons, right? So you have to choose the specific conversation ID in order to go there. Then you create a request uh, based on send message class, right? You are passing there the chat ID and the raw message. Now we have the request, and then we create our response, sorry, using bot execute and passing the request, and then we use this message parser. This is a helper method that I created just to parse it in our console to see the response. But this will also go to our database. We want to save our message for later. We have, I don't know, to see some to see some statistics, to acquire some statistics about that. So these methods are not necessarily um, relevant for you, for your use case, but we want to see for today, we want to see in the console and we want to save the message. What's important is to use this execute and to basically to send our raw message, right? Then we have the Telegram inbox. Here it's the important part where we are listening to the Telegram application, right? So we have this method that it's built past construct. Immediately as we start the application, we have the method that says get and read messages, and this get and read messages uses also the Telegram bot library from GitHub, and it is setting an update listener, right? This one is basically doing here the method process. It's basically executing an infinite loop, and this one is getting the updates. Then we have the updates. Okay, give it a moment to start the application. Okay, then we have the updates, and what we do with them, we take the update and the message and we pass it to our agent, right? Our agent will reply with and will generate will generate a reply here. We will see later how it does that. But after it does the generation, it will go to Telegram delivery here and will basically send the response as we saw previously. And I'm not sure if you heard the notification, but my bot, since I started the application, my bot tries to understand the message start and it said, sorry, I did not understand. Could you please rephrase? And it also said that our mood is neutral, right? It's something that I set with Stanford NLP library. It's a sentiment detector, right? So it detects for anything. The word start is just neutral. If I say hello, have a great day. Okay, it still doesn't understand. We can extract that part, of course. You will see how I configured it, but it will say at least it will recommend you the sentiment, and it will say it is positive. Let's see how it does that. So in order to connect to Telegram, then you have to use the token, right? And I also use some helpers here just to parse easier my content. I have the base URL here, bot, and then the token. This is basically you can do this even using an HTTP request. You basically build this. Let's see where I called the Telegram config here. So you basically one moment. Oh no, I actually did not use the base URL and prefix because it is used by the library. The connection, it's this string is built by the library. But you can also achieve this in Postman. You can call the base URL /bot /token, and then you can pass your message further, right? Then global config. So here in global config, I have some helper locations where I'm saving my further knowledge. For now, this is not interesting at all. We basically want to see how we got these answers, right? So after we wrote to Telegram something, the agent acquired the update that came from our Telegram application, and this went somewhere here in core, right? So in core, we first of all have the agent, and then we have the other architectural components such as knowledge, lifecycle, and NLP, right? So here in the agent side, we have the generate reply method is the first one that we use. This generate reply method basically first of all, the first step it does to try to decide what's the current conversation state, right? You will basically get the message text, and then you decide the conversation. Let's see how that works. So the conversation, the decision part is in the life cycle of the core, right? So here we have the life cycle, and here we have the decision engine. It's a class where we check if the message is initial, or we decide the current state based on some factors, right? How did we build the factors? So first of all, we iterate to all the possible states, right? In order to decide what are all the possible states, we create this flow, set up that flow. It's another method that we have in the flow class here, right? So we go and we set up some flows. For now, we have only greetings and AI parts, right? So greetings is basically a method that is in that no sorry actually it's a state of the conversation, and this flow is basically a list of states, right? We when we want to create a flow, what we want to do is to define this list of potential states and their priorities, right? You can see greeting is the first one, and AI has a priority number 5, right? So in case if you detect some specific keywords in the conversation. You probably assume that the greetings is the state of that conversation at that point, right? In case if you detect the word in multiple states, then you decide that the highest priority, I mean the smaller number, right? It's the conversation state that you probably are, right? And you decide further to respond based on the state that you are in, right? So here the greetings part uh, respond to us to hello or to ping or whatever, right? So this is how we build the flows. Let's go back where the flow is called. Okay, so it is called in the side current conversation state. Here, after we iterate to all the possible states in the flow setup, then we use a helper method text util to check if our text contains any of these words, and if it contains, it added it to a list of candidate states, right? Then we further we take all the candidate states and we decide based on the priority, we decide which one is our state, I mean the highest priority, right? And then we in case if we do not detect any state, we take the default state, which is has priority 999, and it's called default state, right? Let's see how the application behaves depending on this state, right? So we go back now to the decision engine. We take the decision, right? We answer with the decision, and then we go back to the agent, and we know we are back here, right? We know, and let me maybe go to present mode. Okay. We know at this point in the agent that we have a specific conversation state, right? Further, we create our conversation, and we create our conversation based on what we have in the message from Telegram. We will get the chat ID, we will get the chat username, and we will get the conversation state. This object message has multiple details for us. So the method message from Telegram looks like this. It has message ID, thread ID, it has from sender chat, right? It has the date, a lot of details, but we do not use all of them. We use only a part of them, right? Okay, so we know what the state of the conversation. We instantiate our conversation, and then we go further and do some decisions. Our agent does some decisions. So first of all, it tests. It has a switch um, case here, which tests the conversation state. If it is greetings, it responds with something, and something that we know from the knowledge base. We take the answer from the knowledge base. Let me go to the knowledge base quickly and show you how the knowledge base should look like. So knowledge base basically has a main class, and then like a main class. It's the most important class, the core class. It's not Java main, and then we have some other APIs that help us to either acquire data from Wikipedia, for example, and or from the internet, or to store them to our Solr engine, right? So basically, our knowledge base has these two methods. First is taking data from Solr and searching for more knowledge, right? The Solr API has other two methods. One is to index some new knowledge in case if we do ask and we do not know about something, we want to index that in Solr, so we will come back to that knowledge further later. Or we want to do a Solr search operation that basically returns us what we have in our knowledge base, right? And the Wikipedia, it's just a helper class that goes to Wikipedia. It builds here the Wikipedia search URL, and it's processing the HTML content. It's extracting basically the wiki page content, right? Okay, going back to the agent, we are here on the greetings state, and from the knowledge base we take the hello message, which is this one. So knowledge base, okay. Knowledge base have several predefined messages such as hello message, default answer, or default I don't know. I do not even use this one, but basically, and you probably already saw the default answer is sorry, I did not understand. Could you please rephrase, right? Because it did not detect any state of the conversation. We were here, we had start, it didn't detect any state, and it responded with a default message, right? Further, when I said hello, have a great day, for some reasons it still detected this one. It's probably something that I missed in the code. But if I just try again and say, I don't know, let's say only a greeting, let's say hi, it probably gives me, yeah, hello human, how are you? So this is the greeting message, which is hello, right? And then it responded with, by the way, your mood is this one. Again, this is included by default because in the agent I'm taking the decision depending on the state of the conversation. If it's greeting, I respond with a hello message. If I don't have any case here, I respond with the default answer. And further, I will go and when I send the message, I'm calling these two methods. First is Telegram delivery send message, and the second one is Telegram delivery send message with our conversation, but instead of answer, we send the response of the sentiment analyzer based on our input text, right? So let's see how this sentiment analyzer works. Sentiment analyzer looks something like this. It's building, by the way, sorry, it's a typo here. It's your mood is now, and then it is calling the method sentiment analyzer from the NLP package, right? So here in the NLP package, we have two helper classes, and the most important one, the core one, is sentiment analyzer, which basically creates a core document. This is a class from Stanford NLP library. Then we do annotations on top of our document. We basically tokenize and understand what we have, and we split to sentences. And then for each sentence, we go and call this method, which is sentence.sentiment, right? So for each, but I'm only replying with the last one, just for the simplicity of the presentation, right? Basically, the Stanford NLP library takes a text from your side. You just implement this code. You don't even have to know too many things about NLP or about tokenization or about text processing. It basically just returns a sentiment by writing few lines of code. If you want, we can also explore a bit how the pipeline looks like. I mean, the pipeline is basically the process that it's you need to do in order to analyze your text. And we do like this: we tokenize, we use split, we use lemma, and then parse in the text, and ultimately sentiment analyzer. You don't need to understand for our use case today these concepts, but if you want further to implement a more comprehensive chatbot, you probably need to work with more libraries like this. And this is really important to understand these concepts. So for that, you can go to Stanford NLP library documentation, where I also have some articles that are talking about and explaining these concepts. Okay, now let's go back to our agent. So we know that at this point we basically answered with only with a greeting and with a default answer, right? What other alternatives do we have? And let me now go to our one moment. So we basically have, let's say, the other use case when we have the question, right? So if we have a question, we should decide that the conversation state, I inserted here this another case. We basically, if we detect that the other case is a question, then we need to do some different things, not only answer with a default message, right? So let's see how did we decide that this is a question. So we have to go back to the conversation states and let's check how we decided on the conversation states. This is like exactly the same thing, but when we set up the flow, we can see here that we have only greetings and AI part, right? So I will go to here to Git and we'll check the flow class. And here I'm adding back. So I prepared this upfront just to make sure we do not lose time on writing, on typing all of this now. But basically, we can define other flows, other components of our flows, such as question, exclamation, follow-up, or closing, right? By predefining some keywords, right? And these keywords, I created some string arrays for this, but you can do in multiple ways. You can do you can create a table in a database where you can configure them, and then you can read from the database and bring them here. You can create configuration files. You can create both and combine, whatever. Just for the simplicity, I created the keywords here. That's what most of the chatbot platforms that have no code or that just provide you some interface that helps you to create your chatbot with drag and drop, they work similarly. They have like prompts and then they have some keywords that you can define and they have priorities. What I did here is exactly the same thing, but it's just programmatically. It's easier. You don't need to pay to any platform to implement your own chatbot. You can create it just by using a simple or a single programming language. In our case, it's Java, but it can be, of course, anything. So we define the question by using these keywords: why, where, when, what, about, blah, 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 right? So let me go back to our agent. Okay. And I will add a breakpoint here, right? Let me restart the application. And meanwhile, I will go to our chatbot and I will really ask something. How is your day? Okay. Now, actually, I will ask, tell me something more about, let's say, Ukraine, right? Or Devoxx. Let's say Devoxx. Could you tell me something more about Devoxx, right? So, sending this message, and the application will probably hit the breakpoint in a moment. Okay. I think it's starting quite slowly because of DevTools library. It's not mandatory for our use case, but you can disable it if you want to speed up a bit the development. Yeah, whatever. We came back to our agent. Okay. Let's see here. So we basically have. Oh, sorry. We basically stopped on the conversation on conversation state question because we detected that question mark, right? So if it's question mark, then we have to provide an answer to that question, and for that one we need to go to the knowledge base and get data from Solr if it exists, right? If not, that's it. So we get data from Solr, or we extract words after the words about. Actually, we get data from Solr only for those words, right? So let me okay, wait, where is that? Okay, so let me go inside this method, and here we have the extract words about, right? We have a small helper here. Our text is, could you tell me something more about Devoxx, right? We go forward, and we want to stop probably at the end of this one, and we'll observe that we have Devoxx. This is our question, right? Now let's see further. We extracted from our message text, we extracted Devoxx, and now we want to go and get data from Solr, right? So for this one, I will execute get data from Solr, and this one will retrieve an answer from my Solar API with search Solar, right? Going inside here, it will do a Solar search. So first is building the Solar client query, and here we are questioning the content or the key if any of those have Devoxx. One is nothing, the other has sorry, one is nothing and the other has the content has Devoxx. And please let me do a small parenthesis. Let me show you how we can create the Solar instance. And this is extremely easy. You just set up a Docker. You go here to set up commands, and you have Docker pull Solar first, and then Docker run my Solar on this port. You pre-create a core that is called Octospoon, right? And then you will see it here in containers. It takes like 30 seconds to do the setup. You will see the core here, my Solar, and when you go to the interface, this is your Solar admin, where you can see all of your knowledge that you acquired over the time in the Solar instance, right? So you have our core, Octospoon. You can go to query and query the entire database. And you will see that we only have content for this key, for Eminescu and for Ukraine. So we have content already because I inserted before, but we don't have anything about Devoxx, right? So now let's go back to our code. We set the query for the Solar search. Okay, I probably okay. Let me see where am I? So Solar search. Get data from Solar search. So we are probably at this point now. Okay. And we got an answer already. At this time, I do not possess any necessary knowledge. I think I skipped a step in the debugging process, but it says at this point I do not possess any necessary knowledge. So please provide a conclusive. In order to provide a conclusive response, I will go back and try harder, right? So what he did, and it responded with default I don't know, right? Now I enable the default I don't know. You saw it previously, this message. And then it and clicked and executed the search for more knowledge. The search for more knowledge is something that we take the input text, we pass it to Wikipedia, we parse the HTML content, and we do the Solar indexer. And now if we go back to Solar indexer, we will see that it added Devoxx, and it will say it will replace the conference formally, blah, 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 blah. This is what it took from Wikipedia, and it also responded to us later, right? So how did I build that? I mean, I took the whole Wikipedia content, but that's too large. And in order to make things easier, I used here in the Wikipedia, I used a method. Sorry, I think it's in NLP actually. I used a method, yeah, a message parser and some text utils. Okay, that give me a second. What? NLP text analyzer. Okay, I use the method that gives me extract relevant sentence, right? So it gives me the relevant sentence from a specific text. This one, on this one, I passed the Wikipedia text, and it used Lingua and Stanford NLP and provided a result. And this was the result. It's not the best result, as I mentioned, but it's for the scope of the POC, it is great. Then we can fine tune further, and we can obtain more relevant things about Devoxx, right? We can ask about anything. For example, tell me something about Eminescu. So this guy, Eminescu, it's like we will see in a moment actually. Does it stop? It's too big, the screen. It's still processing. Okay, I think maybe I can restart the application because it's stuck on, or I have a breakpoint I did not notice. It's stuck on Stanford NLP process that's analyzing the text. Okay, so now we have, it says that at this time I do not possess anything about Eminescu, which is strange because I have it in Solar here. Probably it's lowercase. Tell me something about Eminescu. Hey, oh, actually it already responded, but yeah. Mihai Eminescu is the greatest Romanian writer, poetry writer, right? So this is what it took from the Solar because I added it upfront, this part, right? The Devoxx was auto completed by us. Now, what we do, this is how we acquire our knowledge, right? What we do if we want to see some history of the conversations. So we have here the persistent layer, and have the RDS. This is a simple setup with MariaDB that saves our message. So basically, I'm passing the conversation and the text to MariaDB, and I will get something like this. Let me do a small refresh here. So it's basically all what we discussed today during our trial, right? You can see here the username. I can probably extend this by a little. Yeah, you can see here the username, the message type, the message, everything that we responded, the default state, chat ID, and the line ID, right? This chat ID is really important because everything I did, it was either in this chat previously before the event or on this one. So we don't want to respond to someone else, right? We want to store this somewhere, either in memory or in our database. In order to create, to set up the instance, for MariaDB, you can also go to Solar and set up using these two command lines. Actually, only the second one is relevant. And Metabase works similarly. Metabase, I will let you discover because it's really straightforward. You basically use drag and drop and build statistics based on what you have on your database, on your tables, right? What we want to do, and the last thing for today, we want to see how we can integrate the generative part, right? How we integrate this with the new Spring AI and ChatGPT, right? So we go to POM XML, we add this dependency, Spring AI Bootstarter. It's part of Spring Framework Experimental, right? And then we create this OpenAI package and class completion. I also created, just to be easier to test this, I also created this REST controller, which helps me check if the interface works correctly, right? So this is basically instantiating an AI client, and it's generating a message based on our input message, right? And then it's returning a completion. This completion is basically containing a string with a response, right? So we want to plug into our application. We go to agent, and we first want to implement a state for this, right? So in order to implement a state for this, we go to flow, and we see we have greeting, question, exclamation, follow up, whatever. Now I go and define another flow, and the only condition is only to contain AI in the text. If it contains AI, it will go to this one. If there is nothing with higher priority, of course, right? So we have the AI state, and then I go back to our agent and say here, if the case AI is okay, let me. So if the case AI happening, then we want to add this new completion. We want to add the AI client and generate the message based on our input text, right? Our message text that comes from Telegram. Let me check if I, okay. And in order to wire this AI client here, you need to create your to instantiate your AI client and then to construct it to construct the agent using it, right? To plugging this to your Spring application. So now you have the AI case. I'm restarting the application, and now we will have basically two ways to discuss with our chatbot. I just answered this AI approach like in an ugly way. I hard coded their AI, so then we'll know it will go to the generative AI instance. But you can do this in multiple ways. You can do any decision engine if you want here in order to decide your case. Now, for the instance, if I go back to my bot and ask again about Devoxx, right? Tell me something more about Devoxx. It will basically go to Solar and it will retrieve what we already know about Devoxx, right? Probably okay. It's Devoxx with a mark. That's why it takes some time because it what he did it was to go to Wikipedia again and take some content about right. So now we have twice Devoxx here. So it says it will replace conference formerly known as blah blah blah, right? Now let's use the same approach, but with ChatGPT. So I just add here AI. So my agent and decision flow decision will know to go to that branch. Okay. Probably it detected actually about here and it had higher priority. It still entered to the question which has second priority. So I'll just try to say AI Devoxx and hopefully ChatGPT will know what I'm talking about and will provide me some answers. Let's see what it does here. Okay, it already responded. So it says Devoxx is a conference dedicated to exploring developments and trends, artificial intelligence, blah blah blah. Right. So this is what ChatGPT answered to us. I used my OpenAI key here, which is an environment variable from the website which I showed you previously. I used it to authenticate to OpenAI backend. And this is how you can approach using generative AI versus using your own language or knowledge. Sorry, it's either you directly depend on the case, you directly respond with something from ChatGPT or any third party available on the market, right? Which is, I don't know, at your convenience. Or you can go and answer with some predefined messages, or you can go and answer from with something from your knowledge base, such as what I have in my Solar interface, Solar backend, sorry. Or you can go to Wikipedia, acquire some more knowledge, come back, store it to Solar, and then go back to your bot and provide this answer. And I use Solar specifically because it helps me find something within the text. You can do this with MySQL as well, or you can do this with any NoSQL database. But Solar is optimized for searching, where we do not have to implement further search engine in order to find some keywords such as Secretary General Committee, for example. If I want to find something about this, I will just give the keywords to Solar, and it will basically provide me quickly the answer. So this is what I had for today. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to um, go back to my website, luciangruia.ro, and
Mhm.
ask anything or get in contact with me. And I think actually I had one more slide to show, and sorry for this.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
It's okay, because
everyone. Yes.
if you want to, you can. Would you like to share a screen? Because I cannot see. I don't see questions so far. So I guess we have a minute for doing this.
For what? Sorry.
Uh, I
My
thought
screen
that you
is still
said that.
shared.
No, no, no. I thought you said that you have one more slide to show. No.
Yes, the one with thank you, actually.
Okay. Okay, then can I ask the team to get back the presentation to share the last screen? Uh, you can remove me while I'm speaking.
Are we still online or what?
Yeah, yeah, we're still online. Yeah, just wanna understand if you
Yeah,
can get the
please.
backs. Okay, so you can actually join the streaming with the participant link. You can share the contact data in the chat with the participants. It's okay, and thank you for joining and doing this session, sharing your experience. We do appreciate it, and hope, as I said, to see you offline in Kiev at Devoxx Ukraine.
Yeah. So thanks very much for the opportunity to present here. I really enjoyed being part of this event and preparing for this. If there is any question from the team or any further event, I'm glad to take part of it. If there is anything from the
Mhm.
participants, let me know. I will
From the
ask offline.
Yeah, no questions, but I see the comments. Participant, thank you for the presentation, and that was a great one. So thank you once again.
So if you have any further feedback, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to